Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. In this video we are going to create a Pincode validator in React Native. I was inspired by Carl. He created this beautiful animation, and I'm gonna show you my way of doing it in React Native using reanimated, Moti, and some tips and tricks. We are going to create this keypad number, which by the way I've heard it's a React component nowadays, and also how to animate. If you are going to fill a number, we are going to move from a line to the circle using Moti, which is powered by reanimated, by the way. So let's play the intro, jump straight into VS Code, and start building this Pincode animation. Shall we? Alrighty guys, so we are in VS Code here. I've already created a boilerplate using Expo. If you wanna use the same boilerplate, you can go ahead and do npx create Expo app, use the Expo template blank TypeScript, and just name your project. I name mine Pincode, and also install React Native Reanimated and Moti, because Moti relies on Reanimated, so both should work together. The most important part is the Reanimated, and once you have installed those, you can go ahead to Babel, config, and add the Reanimated plugin to the Babel plugins. And by the way, if your project fails for some reason and you are not able to open it up, you need to clear the cache, and to do so you can do npx expo start with -- clear. This one is going to reset the cache. Alright, so now we are here in VS Code, we have everything installed, and let's head to the first task. We can start by creating the keypad. So design, it's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, then it's an empty space, a 0, and a delete, right? And to do so, we need to hardcode everything. We are developers, right? So I'm going to say Dialpad is going to be 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 space 0 and a del, right? So we are defining all the keys together, and now we need to display those, right? We can create a function, say Dialpad. This Dialpad is going to return a flat list. So we are going to use flat list for displaying this Dialpad. We need the data. The data is Dialpad, and the key extractor is index, and is going to be index to string, and also render item. We're going to have a touchable opacity, and it's going to render the item inside. And initially the on press is not going to do anything. Just press save, and we need to also render this Dialpad, right? So instead of this text, I'm gonna render the Dialpad. Everything is displayed here, and we can also specify a number of columns. For example, we have 1 2 3 columns, right? And we can specify this number of columns, it's equal to 3. Hit save, it's here. Let's fix this because initially flat list style is going to take the entire available space. We don't need this behavior in our case, so we just want to have flat list height to be the height of the items, whatever you are going to display inside it, right? Because we know for sure that this list is not going to be scrollable, so we can specify a special prop here as a style, flex grow 0. And now you'll see that the flat list, it's taking only whatever items you are displaying inside as height, right? We don't want to have the scroll, so scrolling label is false. We don't want to have the capability of scrolling. And now let's start customizing those items. And I would like to have here a Dialpad size, and I would like to make it, let's say, 20% of the screen width. So we would need to get the width of the screen. So I'll import width from dimensions, coming from React Native, and get the window. Okay, so window, it's width divided by 0.2, so it's 20% of the. We have this size, and we can style those things, right? And inside this this touchable, instead of wrapping the text, I'll wrap a view, and I can apply some styling to this view. It's width, it's Dialpad size, height, Dialpad size, border radius, Dialpad size, why not, and a border width. 1 and a border color of black. And let's center those things inside justify and align items to the center. Now this is properly aligned, and yeah, everything is displayed properly. There is a del here. And now, because we know the size of each individual keypad item, we can also assign a particular font size. So we would like to have the font size half of the keypad size, so we can define here the dialpad text size, which is dialpad size divided by 2, and we can use this text size inside the text here. So I'll say style font size is going to be dialpad size, so we have everything really nicely aligned here. Or maybe we can do instead of divided by 2, I would like to multiply it to 0.4. I think it's better, right? Let's add some gaps. And yeah, you heard me right. React Native nowadays have support for gap. And I'll have spacing 20, for example. And this spacing is going to be the gap. We can have column container style is going to be gap. Spacing is going to add this for each individual column, and also content container style gap is going to be spacing, so it's going to add also at the bottom. Yeah, so we have the keypad. Now we also need to remove this empty circle because we don't display anything here, right? So yeah, this circle should be gone, and to do so we can actually we also need to remove the border. And yeah, let's remove the border initially. So if item is equal to nothing, I would like to have border 0. So we're going to remove, but still the item is rendered here in a way or another. And we don't want to do anything when you are going to press on it, right? So we can say is disabled if item is equal to nothing. And now you cannot press on it, you cannot do anything, right? And let's also try to fix the styling for this del button. I'll import ionicons from vector icons, export vector icons, and if the item is equal to del, I would like to render ionicons, right? Otherwise I'll just render the text. And for the ionicon, I would like to have the name, backspace outline. I'll specify a color as black, let's say, and also the size, which is exactly the dialpad size. Of course, I forgot to close the curly brackets. Now we don't want to have the border as well, right? And for that, instead of just checking here if it's a string, if it's a something, I will say if type of item is not a number, I don't want to have any border. And this is going to fix pretty much all the issues that we have. Now the question is, let's populate the things here, right? We need to add a callback as an on-press. So we need to send this when you are pressing it to the parent. Let's add the types, right? So dialpad is going to receive an on-press, and we are going to send a on-press. It's going to be an item, which is the type of dialpad number, and we are going to have a void. And the on press here is going to be on press by the item. There is some TypeScript issue on press index. Yeah. So now we are passing down the item that was pressed. So on press console of the item. Now, and if I press on an item, it's going to be 7. The press. What are we going to do with it? Well, we can have here state. So we'll say code and set code, use state, of course, and it's going to be a list of numbers, which is going to start from an empty array. So whenever this onPress is called, we would like to add the number to the list, or in case if the type is delete, we are going to slice the array. So if item is equal to delete, set the code with privcode slice by the privcode length -1. Really saying remove the last item from this array. Else if item type of item is number, set the code of the item. Otherwise we don't actually care, right? Now we can use this code, and first we need to also define how long is the pin actually, right? So we can say here pin size is going to be 4, let's say, right? We need this because we need to first create the dummy or the line. We cannot rely on the code length because code length is going to be empty initially. So we need to already have a list of dummy elements that we are going to render, and whenever the code itself is going to change, we are going to remap those values to each individual dummy element. So inside here we are going to display a view, and we are going to iterate over the pin size. So let's create an array of pin size, and we are going to map through those, get the index, and return here a view. And we can have a style, and for the style I was thinking about, hey, the pin code cannot exceed half of the screen, and let's actually rename this, and pin size is width divided by 2. Okay, so this is the entire width, and now we also know how big is the length of the pin. We can determine the item size. So we are going to say pin size is going to be container divided by the pin length. Amazing. And the styling here is going to say width, it's pin size, height, it's pin size, background color, red, and border radius is going to be pin size. And yeah, now everything is vertical, so let's fix this. Tile, x direction, row. We can also specify a gap of 10, why not, or spacing divided by 2, I believe it's okay. Margin bottom, spacing multiplied by 2. Let me fix some styling here. So the parent is background color green. So the parent is taking this size, right? But I would like to make it double in a way that is going to be height is pin size multiplied by 2. And now I would like to position items at the bottom. So I will say align items, flex it. So I position them at the bottom. You'll see in a minute why, because now if I change the height to be, let's say 1, or let's say 2, right? So those are displayed here. Let me remove the background red here, right? So now it's 2, but when it's actually active, I would like to change it to the actual circle. I don't really like those pin sizes, so I would like to make this also taking into account some spacing, right? So pin max size, and the pin size is going to be pin max size minus spacing. Why not? Spacing is not defined, of course, because I would like to also have a pin spacing, which is 10. So it's pin spacing multiplied by 2. Okay, so it's basically we have divided the half of the screen here. This one it's divided by the pin length, right? So we have this size, and now I'm saying, okay, you know what, I don't want to have this entire space, but instead let's remove some spacing from all around, and in this way we are creating this effect. And now we can also have its pin spacing as the gap, so we can also multiply by 2. Cool. So yeah, this is styling. Styling, it's you can style it however you like. For me, yeah, I don't know. You can play around with the styling. It's not about the styling here. All right, so we said that we are going to use Moti for that, and we first need to import Moti view from Moti library instead of the view that's having those circles here, and we would like to animate. We would like to animate the height, and also the margin. So it's going to start from the bottom, and when it's going to be active, we are going to move it half of this height, and also apply different height to these views. This is not taking into account, hey, is this selected or not? So what we need to do is we can say here, where we iterate over the pin length, we'll say, is this selected or not? And is selected is going to say if we actually have a code at index I. And if it's selected, let's do, if it's selected, I would like to have the pin size, otherwise it's 2, right? So now if I press on an item, you'll see that we display a circle instead of the line. We have a value inside code at this particular index from the pin length. It means that you already have filled that thing, right? So yeah, this is how it is. And with Moti, it's really easy to animate based on state changes, and we can do it through animate property. And here you can animate any style property, like for example the height. We are saying if the height, if the item is selected, I would like to have the pin size as height, otherwise it's 2. So now, of course, key is going to be pin Y. So now if I press on 3, you'll notice that everything is animated. Rift, 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 rift. But I don't want to have the transition, as the default is the spring transition, and I would like to have a timing transition. Type timing, and duration is going to be 300, let's say, right? Zhup, 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 zhup. It's way better. And I can actually make it even faster. Okay, and I've said that I also wanted to move the margin bottom. So margin bottom is going to be, if it's selected, 0. No. It's actually the reverse way, right? So if it's selected, I would like to move it with the pin size. Otherwise, keep it at 0. So now if it's selected, it's also going to move up a bit. Oh, and it's kind of like too much. I believe half should be better. Yeah. Notice that if I press more than 4 times, we are going to push to that array, and we don't need it, right? So, oops. Here we are going to say if it's not delete, we don't care, right? But if it's a number, we would like to say, hey, do we actually have the code length it's equal to the pin length? If it is, don't set the state anymore. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and now nothing happens. And if I actually go here and console log code, you'll see now it's 1, 1, 1, 1, and then I keep adding on it, right? And when you hit delete, it's not the proper behavior, right? So we need to stop it. We need to clamp it. So now if we add back this code, it's 1, 1, 1, 1, and now even though I'm pressing on the button, it's not going to add to that element, right? I'd like to show you one last thing, because the UI really suck. I'll add random color, but also types random color. So now let's install the random color thingy. Instead of using black and white and whatnot, red, let's add some colors. And for that, we can also have here some primary color. It's equal to random color. It should come from random color. Actually, base color, yes. And now let's create colors, which is primary, base color, secondary, random color from this base color, right? So the hue is going to be the base color, but I would like to have the dark. So the luminosity is going to be dark. So now we have those colors, right? So where we have the black, right? I would like to apply the secondary color or the dark color, right? And so we have black here, colors, secondary, black, nope, secondary color. Also here, color, secondary color. So if I hit save, notice everything it's pre-filled for us. And now let's also move to those lines. So where we have red, secondary color. Notice that whenever I'm saving, a new color appears. And also for the background, I'll go to this white and I'll say colors primary. Boom. And now we have actually a pretty nice and decent color theme. And I noticed that there is no transition between the line and the circle as a background. So I like to also remove the background from here and say if it's selected, I would like to keep the normal color as we have now, but if it's not selected, I would like to modify the opacity of it. So I'll say the colors, secondary, and then I'll add 4. So it's decreasing a bit in transparency, right? So if I say 0, it's completely transparent. If I say 6, it's almost there, right? And when I'm saving it, it's doing its fancy thing. Alrighty guys, that was it. I hope you like it. Actually, there is one more thing. You know what's funny is that I have released a really nice website which is called animatereactnative.com. And by the way, this entire animation, it's there already. So I would like to show you one nice thing about this particular thing that I've built for you guys, is that this is the animation. You saw it initially, but the nice thing is that I can copy paste the code, add it into the VS Code, start doing everything. Everything is working, guys. So everything is working. It's just a matter of copy pasting the code from animatereactnative.com to your VS Code. The only thing that you need to pay attention to is the dependencies. And as long as you have all the dependencies, everything is going to work. And yeah, it's going to save you quite a lot of time. Otherwise, see you guys in the next episode.